So this is the part that everybody said was going to be the hardest. This spigot bearing here is really hard to pull out. So we've got the brand new one, which is this. And what this does is it fits, if you feel with your hand, there's a groove. So this actually fits behind where this is sat. So we need to pull this out somehow and slot that in. We've got a Dremel. We're making some scores, and then the plan is to turn this round, get a chisel on it, and hopefully knock it out and crack it. Day 2 of the conversion. So we've got the spigot bearing out, put the new one in, gonna oil it up. We're gonna swap the automatic plate for the manual plate. And then we're gonna start fitting the clutch and flywheel, and then we'll start to look at getting the box on. And then we need to fit master and the new pedal, and then that should more or less be it. So let's get cracking.
This lot that you brought, game changer. I was not going to give it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going. I'm actually tempted to do it that way.
Yeah. So what Scott's doing here is he's using a what's that, a 12mm? 10mm?
That's a 10mm. I'm using the back end of it.
Using a back end of an impact socket, just so when you're hitting the little spigot bearing, whatever that is, you're applying even pressure, so you're not trying to knock it in and it just, it's not going where it's not supposed to go.
I'd say that's exactly where it needs to be.
Sound?
Learn things with Bal. Bal knows things.
BalKnowsThings.org.
So we figured the release bearing has got to go onto. So no, that's the release bearing.
That's the release bearing.
That's release bearing.
That's
the release bearing holder.
Side or something.
Whatever. So that's got to go on there.
After the fact, so we just undid what we done yesterday.
Yeah. Also make sure, because this bit here spins. Hang on, camera's not even on it. This bit here spins. So you want to make sure that's facing the clutch and flywheel, because they are the bits that spin.
Don't put it that way.
Don't put it the wrong way around.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
There's a little ridge in there as well. See that ridge will sit in that ridge. And go plop.
We just got to somehow force that over there. I'm thinking put something flat over it and tap it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The proper way to do this is with a hydraulic press, but we don't have that. So
no, we don't.
DIY? Hammer? Wood?
Yes. To be fair, considering like the condition of the box yesterday as well, man, that looks so clean in there, really.
Really well.
So that bearing that we just put in basically sits on this end of the spline. So this is a spare one that I'd also ordered in case we needed one, in case things didn't go to plan. So yeah, where the box is on, where that fits, it'll just sit here and it will move forward and backwards as this is shifting gear. It's not quite on straight. Beautiful.
Just like that?
Mate, beautiful.
I know I need to find a bit more.
I didn't doubt your process, but I have got like 3 of those release bearings. Just in case we need them.
Well, see, getting it on is fine. It's if we need to get it off.
Well, let's just hope we put it on right, yeah?
I mean, that spins. I just need to get this flush with there. There's a little gap.
Yeah.
And then that'll be it.
Also giving the bell housing a bit of a clean. This is all the rubbish that came off it. Bit of brake cleaner and elbow grease. We'll get those back on the car shortly. So auto extreme clutch and flywheel, they're bolted together for shipping. We've got flywheel, pressure plate and clutch. Take these bolts out so we can have a proper look at it. At least it's already set up so we know exactly which way around it's got to go on as well, which is good. So with the extreme clutch kit, so what you're going to need to do is get the pressure plate off. There was a sticker on the surface. It does say on the instructions, you've got to clean the surface. We use brake cleaner, and then we've also cleaned the surface of the flywheel as well. Val's got the Pringles and the alignment tool, so we just checked that fits in the shaft. We've also checked that the clutch fits on the splines of the gearbox, which it does. So basically, yeah, we've got some APR bolts here for the flywheel and for the pressure plate to connect it all up. So these are uprated, they're the same price, and we've got torque specs on the box. So let's have a pack of Pringles and
show the release bearing on the thing.
Oh yeah. So release bearing that we were just doing, hammered on. So yeah, do you want to show that moving? Do you want to move the fork?
Without a washer installation, please check part numbers. Do not use any washers. With ALP flywheel bolts, they are designed to be installed without them. ALP will not be responsible for. Okay. Lubricate threads of the bolt, Loctite 240, and under the head. Oh, okay.
We will go for 95 foot-pounds.
So you put this on the underneath of the head of the bolts, but you put Loctite on the threads.
We haven't got Loctite.
Can Ryan get some
for the end, and then oh yeah, let's go bring Ryan. So we sent Ryan out early Sunday morning to go and find some Loctite, and thankfully he found some.
Line it up with that little thing.
Well, this just sits on the crank, so beautiful. Yeah. Hey, how do we stop it from spinning? That's just going to keep going. Oh yeah, that looks good.
Oh wow.
Of course it will. Fits over. Yeah, it'll stay on.
Oh, look at that. That looks awesome.
What are you talking those to then, Val?
25? It said it should be anywhere between 25 and 33 if I'm not mistaken.
Pound, foot, torque, pound, foot, torque.
Foot-pounds?
Foot-pounds of torque?
Yeah.
Lovely.
What I'm doing is I'm just going in a star pattern, I'm just nipping them up before I torque them. I'm not usually this tall, I'm just on my tiptoes.
You just like watching him have to reach up.
You lot are real.
All of us could have easily done this instead. We're doing the easy jobs.
Yeah, we're just holding the torch and watching.
Ready?
Go on.
Damn.
What's that smoke coming from?
Is it too late to put the auto box back in? So with JDM Garage, the clutch pedal doesn't come pre-assembled, so we're just digging through all of the bolts to find out what fits. So there's a black fulcrum pin which runs through there, and then we've had to find which bolt, which nut fits on. So that one seems to fit. It's the only one that fits a thread, so we're just tightening that up. I have just realised, you know, there's no spring for that pedal.
Yeah, that defo goes there. I can't, yeah, this is...
Yeah. There's a plastic buffer at the top. Look, taps it. I think we need to just try it in the car.
Don't know how we're going to open up this middle bit, if I'm honest.
I couldn't really get the camera up there to get a shot, but if you take this material out, Nissan have markers on all of the bodies to show where the clutch pedal will go, so you'll know exactly where you need to drill your holes. So you need to make quite a big hole to run the master cylinder against the pedal. So our approach here has been drill loads of holes and then use a chisel to knock it out and then tidy it up after. So the clutch pedal's in, we just had to get a bit creative. So rather than buying a brake pedal separately, because the auto brake and clutch pad is so big, we did a temporary fix and we cut the pad in half. Master cylinder, that's going to go on the back end of the pedal that sits under the bonnet. A braided line that's going to run from the master to the slave, and then in a bit we'll have to put some new clutch fluid in. When I first bought the car, I did a full fluid change. Got 5 litres of Miller's coolant. Used to use a lot of Miller's stuff in the 86, so that's why I'm still using that. You got some Miller's .4 brake fluid. Brake and clutch fluid are exactly the same, it's just .4, so we'll be using that in the clutch. So this is the stuff that JDM Garage recommended when I bought the kit. So Lucas, I've never heard of them, but it looks pretty good. We've got 4 litres of this to fill the gearbox up with after. And finally, before we get the box on the car, I just wanted to take out the plugs and see if there's any oil in there already, because it's a little bit easier to do when it's off the car. Just don't want to have to take the gearbox off to change the fluid. Not on yet? Yes. If this can't get it off, it's never going to come off. Straight out, as it should be. So the issue with the one on the side is that someone has put Loctite on the threads, but this is the only way to empty and fill the gearbox. So it's a bit stupid.
Nah, nothing's come out of there.
Okay, so gearbox is empty.
Techers.
Hang on. Can you get out of there?
Attaching the new box was probably the hardest part of the job. You have to lift the box perfectly horizontal so that you can get the spline from the gearbox to run through the clutch and flywheel and into the crank, but you're kind of limited on visibility because you can't see inside the box. And as you can tell from the video, when we lifted the box up, we actually used my phone to see how far off we were. Also, you have to rotate the box so that you don't crush the sensors against the chassis. And again, as we didn't have a jack to lift the gearbox, and it is pretty heavy, this took us some time to figure out. Yes! Yes! Who converted a skyline? Who didn't convert a skyline?
Hello. We got stuck, so let's call a real mechanic.
Real mechanic, questionable, but yes. At points. I mean long term with a Nissan, so they come close to my heart. Now the box is in position, we're just going around putting all the bell housing bolts back in place. Also, we've got to bolt up the cross member. We've got a sliding jack built into the ramp, and that's basically just holding the weight of the gearbox whilst we put all these bolts back in.
Right, routing of the slave pipe, he's going to have to come off the chassis rail because you don't want to get caught. You don't want it rubbing on the steering column. So.
Thought I'd show you guys in the light so you can see it properly. So this is the master cylinder, and you can see there's a bolt there. There's a bolt down there. As you thread the clutch pedal through, basically put this on the back and then you bolt it down with those. So there's master cylinder. At the side of the master cylinder here, you've got the bleed nipple. So you've got that there if you need to mess with the fluids, adjust your pedal. And then at the bottom, you've got the clutch braided line, which basically just screws into the bottom. Got it running all the way down to the gearbox. And the line runs all the way down to the slave cylinder, which we looked at earlier in episode 1. And then you can see there just the edge of the clutch fork, which then pushes that. It'll take a bit of messing with to get the pressure right in the pedal, but you can adjust that using the bleeder, which is also on the slave cylinder as well. In fact, I'd probably recommend adjusting it on the slave cylinder bleed nipple instead of the master, just because it's easier to get to. So you can see there as well, that's the top of the clutch pedal, which is now bolted in place. Clutch pedal here, and yeah, we had to cut the edge of the auto brake pedal because it's like double the size, and it was catching on the clutch pedal. So as a temporary fix, we've cut this just to get the car running and off the ramp, and then we'll come back and we'll trim this up, and I'll probably order some new pads for both these pedals. There's no reason to change this at all. Also saves you some money having to buy a new brake pedal just for the sake of the pad. And with that done, one of our final steps was to install the gear shifter. First, we put another litre of oil into the gearbox through the top, and then we put the gear shifter in place. The actual top of the gearbox on the R33s sit further forward than in the R34 boxes, so all these shifters have a bit of a dog leg to them. This shifter is an OEM shifter from JDM Garage. This little plastic bushing at the bottom slots right into the top of the gearbox, and then you pull this rubber boot back, and there's a circlip there that goes into the top of the box, which locks the shifter in place. So basically, if you were to try and pull the shifter up, it wouldn't come out of the gearbox, it's fixed in place. Pull that rubber back over to cover the top of the gearbox, and then you have your rubber boots which go over the top, and then it's literally 4 10mm bolts, one on each corner to do up, and that's about it really.
Right, turn it back off again. Right, I don't think it should crank, so try and start it. Put your foot on the clutch there. I know we've got it lifted up like, but just try and start it. Right.
No.
Nothing. Nah. Yeah. Because it thinks it's in gear.
Yeah, we were having issues getting the car to start due to some differences between the auto and the manual engine loom. All of the sensors on the gearbox were also part of this loom. We'll cover that next video. Obviously, I'm still using the auto engine loom, which essentially has a kill switch on it, that won't let you start the car unless the gearbox is out of gear. But don't stress though, we have a permanent fix for this, which we'll cover in the next video. For now, let's have a look at our temporary solution. So when I was fitting the 33 box, all of the wiring loom, which has the neutral, reverse and speed sensors on, I've pulled up through here. Then I've plugged back in the automatic gear selector. I've cable tied that into position here, so that's in neutral at the minute. And then what I've done is I've had to take one of the fuses out, and then I've had to bridge the wiring over so it's constantly live with literally just a little piece of electrical wiring. So that'll start and it will run fine. Obviously, when you parked up and stuff, take the wire out, because if it's live you don't want it to be a battery drain. I am going to be making a more permanent fix for this once I've managed to find some additional parts. And there you have it. We've converted the car from automatic to manual and got it back on the road, all within 20 hours. There's still some stuff that we need to permanently fix and refine, but don't worry, you'll get all of that in episode 3. Catch you next time.